So I'm just giving all of you a fair warning right out of the gate. This video is not going to be for everyone, as we are going to talk about a topic that is honestly disgusting and disturbing. So there is a man known as Christopher Ratton. He's 32 from Virginia. He was arrested 2 years ago and has now since been charged for having some content in his phone of the adult variety involving animals and children. It sickens me to even put this type of sentence together, but I want to go over the details because, as always, I tell all of you, I talk about this kind of stuff, especially when it involves the cruising experience, because I believe it is very important that we understand that even if we are having the vacation of a lifetime, we are still living in the real world. And there could be some very interesting and non-favorable characters on board cruise ships. I feel like I'm being too light-handed here when I say interesting and unfavorable. I mean dangerous and the type of people that should not be around your kids whatsoever. So back on September 9th, 2021, this man Christopher Radson decided to go from Virginia to go on a cruise ship, the name of which is unknown, over in Port Canaveral, Florida. At some point during the cruise, there was a border search involving the feds, in which they searched his phone and found over 4,500, so 4,500 photos of, adult style content involving animals and children. And when I say children, I'm talking about infants and toddlers. Like I said, it disgusts me to even put these types of words together in one sentence, but this is the reality of what has taken place. And they said this is not only adult style content, it's also abuse. And he was arrested, and then we come to find out in October of 2022 that he pleads guilty, and he ended up getting 7 years in prison. He didn't get the maximum amount, according to his attorney. The maximum amount could have been anywhere from 10 to 12 years. They say because he is a first-time offender, and because they did a psychological evaluation, he doesn't appear to have some type of an addiction problem or some type of problem where he could be harmful to others, which I seriously doubt. I'll explain in a minute. But these types of situations, the reason I'm pointing all of this out is because there is no such thing as safe or some type of Disney fantasy on board cruise ships. I'm very clear about that. A lot of people try to put my content in the form of me trying to hate on cruise lines or whatever. No, no, no. I love being on cruise ships, but it's also important to understand whether you're on vacation or if you're in the regular world at work or whatever, we are still in the real world and things can happen. And you could potentially be around people that shouldn't necessarily be around younger people, for example, your kids. Getting to my point to all this, by the way, I don't want to dive too deep into this discussion as far as the situation itself. If you want the article, I will link it in the description box and in the comment section below. But I mean the fact that they are claiming that this man is not an immediate danger to anybody. Look, when it comes to people like this that are looking at this type of content, allegedly he's saying that he didn't intentionally try to get this type of content. He was trying to get some other, I think, like black lesbian type content or something like that. It's in the article, check it out. And he ended up getting this one. Why does he still have it? When it comes to stuff like this, I just say that this is usually a start for a lot of people. They dive into this realm, this area in which they start seeing stuff like this and they start having these fantasies, and then that turns into real world action that people take. And this is how we get into the situations that we get into. I don't know how many times you all have probably seen as well, where you have people that they commit a small crime that kind of could potentially lead to something bigger, and then they go to jail for like a day and then they get released, and then that said thing that people were talking about could potentially happen does end up actually happening. I do believe that if this man had all of this you're talking about, this is not like an oopsie where you have accidentally one photo of something that somebody sent to you in that moment, or maybe a day and you forgot to delete it or whatever. Even then, that's still a little suspicious. You're talking about over 4,000 photos and potentially, I guess, videos or whatever. Either way, you're talking about some visual content on somebody's phone. That is a lot. So to say that this man isn't a danger to anybody, when you're talking about being on board a cruise ship where there were a lot of kids on board, and let's be honest here, there are a lot of parents that just kind of let their kids run around willy-nilly. And I even say when I'm on board a cruise ship, because obviously, as most of you know, millions of people watching my channel on board cruise ships whenever I sail and doing the breakdown dancing thing. I have a lot of kids that end up trying to follow me, like physically follow me. They want pictures, they want to hang out, they want to talk. The first thing that I personally ask is, where are your parents? Because let's face it, I'm not like some teenager. I am a 30-year-old man. And as much as I love kids and I have a lot of energy myself, I like playing basketball and dancing and sports and going down the water slides and all that. I'm still an adult, and I believe conducting myself accordingly when it comes to dealing with children. I make sure there is a parental figure or at least somebody around that is with that child that is adult age. That way, there is no confusion on what was said, what was done, and if there's a picture or anything like that, whether it's on their phone, my phone, it doesn't matter. I believe talking about topics like this and looking at situations such as this are a reminder to all of us that we do live in the real world. And like I said, I don't want to sound like a broken record, whether you're on land or at sea on your vacation, well, things could happen at any point in time. And I don't mean to say this to put somebody in a state of paranoia. I don't believe anybody should be looking around, always looking over their shoulder in a very weird way when they're on vacation. I'm just saying, when it comes to kids on board, if you're sailing with your kids, make sure you know where they are at all times, or at the bare minimum, have them check in with you maybe every hour, every other hour if you don't know exactly where they are, or just have a way to communicate with them. You're sailing with Carnival, they have the chat. There's other means. I see people walking around with the walkie-talkies and all that stuff. Hey, whatever floats your boat, whatever works for you, just make sure you understand where your kids are and how they are conducting themselves while on board during their vacation. But that's all I got. Make sure you guys check out the article below. That way you can get the full details of everything that happened, because like I said, this is kind of a little bit out of my jurisdiction, a little out of my realm to be talking about this in full detail. So make sure you guys go check out that article. Hit that like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Very, very important. And just know that I love each and every one of you. I'll see you later. Take it easy.